All right, today we're diving into what has to be one of the most ambitious and frankly awe-inspiring construction projects in all of ancient history, the building of the first temple in Jerusalem. We're going to walk right through the first 6 chapters of Second Chronicles and watch as King Solomon takes his father David's dream and turns it from a blueprint into a glorious house literally filled with the presence of God. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to follow this incredible story chapter by chapter. We'll kick things off with Solomon's really crucial request for wisdom. Then we'll get into the massive logistics and the intricate construction. And it all builds to this breathtaking climax, the temple's divine dedication. You know, our story doesn't start with hammers and nails or quarrying stone. It starts with a single moment, a choice that really defines Solomon's entire kingship. Right after he takes the throne, he goes to Gibeon to worship, and it's there that God gives him, just an unbelievable offer. And this is where we see what Solomon's really made of. God comes to him and says, "Ask what I shall give you." Just imagine that for a second. He could have asked for anything. More money, more power, a long life, for all his enemies to be defeated. But nope, he asks for something totally different. This was his answer. It wasn't about him. It was about his people. He understood that leading this huge nation, a people as numerous as the dust of the earth, was a job that was way over his head. He knew he needed God's insight to have any hope of leading them well. And check out God's response. It's just incredible. Because Solomon's request was so selfless, so focused on God's people and not his own gain, God not only gives him wisdom like no one had ever seen, but he also throws in all the stuff he didn't ask for, the riches, the wealth, the honor. It was a total game changer. Okay, so with that foundation of wisdom firmly in place, now we get to see it put into action. Solomon is ready to start the project his father David had wanted to do for so long. Armed with God's blessing and resources, he sets out to build a house for the name of the Lord. And let me tell you, the scale of this project is just mind-boggling. To get it all done, Solomon organized a massive workforce. We're talking over 150,000 men. You had 70,000 bearers, 80,000 quarrying stone up in the mountains, and 3,600 overseers managing it all. This was an epic national effort. Now this is where that wisdom really comes in handy. Solomon knew he couldn't do this alone, so he reaches out to his dad's old ally, King Hiram of Tyre, and asks for 2 crucial things: the best timber from the famous cedars of Lebanon and a master craftsman, a guy who could handle all the really detailed artistic work. And Hiram is all for it. He agrees to send everything Solomon needs, and this great international partnership is born. So, the materials are gathered, the workforce is ready to go, and in Chapter 3, construction finally begins. And where they decide to build? Well, that's a story in itself. See, they didn't just pick any old hill. The temple was built on Mount Moriah. This was the exact spot where the Lord had appeared to his father, David. This ground was sacred, soaked in Israel's history with God, which directly connected this brand new temple to God's promises from the past. And if you want to get a sense of just how sacred this project was, just look at the materials. The most holy place, the absolute heart of the temple, was completely overlaid with 600 talents of fine gold. That is a staggering amount, making it crystal clear that only the absolute best was good enough for God's house. And standing guard at the entrance, you literally could not miss them, were 2 gigantic brass pillars. We're talking about 52 feet tall each, and they even had names. The one on the right was called Jachin, which means he will establish, and the one on the left, Boaz, meaning in him is strength. These weren't just decorations. They were giant declarations of faith for everyone who walked through those doors. All right, the building itself is up, which is amazing. But a house isn't really a home until it's furnished, right? So now our focus shifts inside to all the intricate tools and furniture that were going to be used for the daily worship in the temple. And every single piece was crafted for a specific purpose. There was a massive brass altar for the sacrifices, a huge basin called the Molten Sea where the priests would wash, 10 candlesticks made of pure gold to light the holy place, and 10 golden tables for the holy bread. It was this incredible symphony of brass and gold, all designed for the service of God. Honestly, it's hard to even wrap your head around the amount of material they used. The text specifically says that Solomon had so many brass vessels made, all the pots and shovels and basins, that the weight of the metal was just too great to even measure. They literally couldn't count it all. Okay, This is it. This is the moment everything has been building towards. All the planning, all the labor, all the craftsmanship. The physical building is done, but the big question hangs in the air. Would God accept it? This next chapter is all about the ceremony to welcome his presence. So Solomon gets all the leaders of Israel together for this huge event. And then, so reverently, the priests carry the Ark of the Covenant, the single most sacred object in all of Israel, and they place it in its final resting spot, the most holy place, right under the wings of the golden angels. At that exact moment, a massive orchestra and choir just erupt in praise. You have 120 priests blowing their trumpets, and all the singers lifting their voices. But here's the key detail. They were as one. They made one sound of praise to God. And boom, in direct response to that perfect, unified worship, a miracle happens. A thick cloud, a visible sign of God himself, just descends and completely fills the temple. His presence had arrived. This is what's often called the Shekinah glory. It's the tangible, visible presence of God dwelling with his people. And it was so powerful, so completely overwhelming, that the priests couldn't even stand up to do their jobs anymore. God had officially moved in. He had accepted their offering. So the temple is now filled with the glory of God. Solomon, standing there in front of everyone, lifts his hands to heaven and offers what is truly one of the most remarkable prayers recorded in the entire Bible. He starts with this incredible humility. He basically says, look, can God really live here with us on earth? The entire universe can't even contain you. How could this little house that I built possibly do it? It's just a beautiful picture of God's greatness and his amazing willingness to be near us. And then he dedicates the temple as this central place of prayer for basically every situation in life. He asks that whenever the people turn towards this house and pray, whether they're facing injustice or they need forgiveness or there's a famine or they're at war, that God would hear from heaven and answer. And he even makes a point to include foreigners who come seeking God, making it a house of prayer for all people. So we've gone from a king's humble prayer for wisdom all the way to seeing God's glory fill this magnificent building. It's an incredible story of obedience and worship, and it leaves us with a really compelling question to think about. If this ancient temple was built to be a physical house for God's presence back then, what does it mean for us today to be a temple for God's Spirit?